Hey, what's going on, everybody? So today I was going to talk a little bit about the another tip and strategy that I have, another way that I do things. But we also have, unfortunately, we have the Zeke news. It seems like every offseason there's always Zeke news. Either he's beating somebody up, flashing a titty from somebody else's, or now he's holding out for his contract doc. I really don't mind people when they hold out for the contract docs, to be honest with you. I assume they're working out. And it's not like a looming thing. It's more of like, now with Love Bell, that sucked because that was all season he held out for. But for like somebody like Zeke or somebody like that, where they know they're gonna pay for him. You don't really worry too much about a Zeke situation. I don't, at least. But these guys, especially running backs, I would do it if I was them too. I would hold out if I'm Zeke. I would hold out if I'm Lev Bell. I mean, your career as a running back is like 4 to 5 years if you're not injury prone. I mean, if you're injury prone, it's even shorter than that. And if you're really lucky, you can have an Emmitt Smith, Frank Gore type of career, or Adrian Peterson. Even he got injured, and he's still having a very long career. A decade of a career, but nothing like what you see out of wide receivers' careers. They're still getting massive contracts late into their early 30s. I think Antonio Brown just signed a big deal, and he's in his like 31, 32-year-old. I can't remember, maybe he's 33 even. And then you've got people like like Larry Fitzgerald still running around. T.O. played for a long time. I mean, these wide receivers, quarterbacks, you got Tom Brady's in his 40s now. So you think about a running back, everybody complains, they've got to make, they're holding out for their money. Yeah, because, they're making NFL money, which is more money than, most of all of us make. But they're not, that's it. They're done after that, right? After the, 4 or 5 years of that kind of money, if they've built up some sort of lifestyle, which maybe they shouldn't have, they're being a running back, they should have maybe invested it properly. That's a topic for another day. But they don't have that much time left, so they've got to get that contract extension, and they got to get paid, and they got to secure their future, basically. So and I'm totally on board with running backs and anybody really that holds out due to a contract. I'm all aboard. I would do the same thing. So, but with that, I don't really worry too much about that. I think Lev Bell's the first time I've ever seen somebody not get signed that I can recall that was like a Lev Bell first round kind of guy that held out the entire season for a contract extension. So that's the first time I've ever seen that. And if Pittsburgh was just going to drop him to the Jets anyways, or whatever the whole thing they did, I think it's pretty messed up on Pittsburgh's part. Just, if you weren't planning on signing him, you weren't going to meet his demands, just get rid of him, trade him, just get the guy, out there and get him his career. He lost a year. Now how do you argue the year? Does a year off on a running back make him that much older, or because he's not getting beat up for a year, does that help him? I don't know. We'll see. We will see how things go for Lev Bell. Hopefully, I wish him luck, man. He is a target of mine in the second round. If I can score Lev Bell in the second round, oh my gosh. I don't care if he's got 8 in the box. The dude is a stud, and I'm in a full PPR, so I'm going to take him because I feel Darnold's just going to be passing that little thing right there. Quick passes to Lev Bell because he's got the soft hands, and the dude's a stud. And the fact that he's dropping to the second kind of makes me wish I had like a 10th round pick, like not 10th round pick, but a pick 10 in like a 12-man league, and I could almost grab him at the 10th pick, which is, in my opinion, a steal because he's freaking Lev Bell. And if in some mocks I've seen him go in the second round, I'm thinking, dude, if I'm getting Lev Bell and whoever I grab in the first round, maybe I grab myself Julio Jones in the first round and Lev Bell in the second round, get out of here. I'm gonna murk people, and that's just my thoughts on it. But and then you got Julio's coming in. He's got a contract coming in. He's actually still going to do his thing, though. He's going to show up to camp, and most likely the Falcons are going to do the right thing and get him signed. Dude is a machine. PPR machine. So he is a top 1 to 2. In my opinion, he's the one. Some people have Hopkins there. I get it. If you wanted to choose Hopkins, I wouldn't blame you. In my opinion, I take Julio. I know he doesn't have the touchdown upside that everybody else has, but the dude is he gets peppered with targets. Targets to me equate to receptions. Receptions to me are points, and that's all that matters. And that kind of leads us into my next strategy on what I do. And I'll show you guys kind of sorry, I got allergies, so I'll be doing my nose thing for probably every video, depending on where I'm at, and I'm in the car. But that is one strategy that I deploy, and I'll just kind of show you guys what I do. I put together a spreadsheet, and I get a lot of I don't do it for every player, but a lot of times I'll do it for who would be in my first, let's say, 3 to 4 picks. Because if anything past that, it gets a little bit more extensive. And what I actually do is I'll go through a player's career, and I look at usually the last 2 years with a heavy dose of the last season on it. There's other factors I look at, like age and such, but I create an Excel spreadsheet based off of downloading their stats from NFL.com, and I actually look at consistency. Now, I will say that the fantasy footballers just recently started doing this, I think a year or two ago, where they added consistency charts into their Ultimate Draft Kit. So you can do it that way. I'm just more of a spreadsheets kind of guy, so I like to kind of have the spreadsheets out there, and what I'll do is I'll take the stats, download them, and what I also do is I do an average of how many points do they score per game. And to me, I'm not looking for a player that's throwing down 40 points a game. Don't get me wrong, that's great. Like when Alvin Kamara goes freaking ballistic, I go, this sucks for me if I'm playing him, because he's going to destroy my team. And that's great. But then the week where he goes, next week where he goes to 5 points or 7, which isn't really often for him. He's a freaking ridiculous machine of an animal of a dude, and he's just, he's just so shifty. He's so good. But when he does that and he gets bottled up, or the Saints have a different plan for him, or whatever reason they may have to not give him the ball and make... Sorry about that. My wife has the uncanny ability to call me every single time I'm making a live video, and I cannot, well, not a live video, but any kind of video, and I cannot stop it from happening. I even put on Do Not Disturb every time, and for whatever reason, she always calls me. Even when I'm doing a live video for my business, it's just, oh my gosh. Every time, it's insane. She has this, Jesse's making a video, radar or something, I don't know. But anywho, what I was saying is that, now she's made me lost my train of thought. Dang it. Oh, consistencies. Yes. So I'll look at guys like a Lev Bell, or who was it? Julio. Somebody like that, where I do the stats and I do the PPR sets and I look and I say, okay, this guy, he does have the potential to blow up at any point in time. But when I look at him and I go, okay, his lowest game was, he had, 15, he had 15 points like every time, and then all of a sudden he has a 7, and then he has like a, 15, 15, 15, 15, 30, 15, 15, 30. But on average, he's scoring at least 15 points a game. That is a strategy that I go consistency and not blow up potential. Every player has a potential to blow up, in my opinion, and I feel as though if you're consistent, eventually that's going to happen. A great guy that I love that is often undervalued, Jarvis Landry. That dude will win you some weeks because he's going to throw up the points every week. Maybe not with Odell there now. We'll see how that all thing shakes out. But before, Jarvis was a freaking PPR beast. The dude would get 7 to 10 catches, and you could slot him in, and you could count on him to get you 15 points in a PPR league. It's that simple. He wasn't going to blow up, and he might blow up and give you that 25-point game. He ain't going to give you a 40-pointer. But that's what I look for, and I look for my team. I think about it. You're going to have one quarterback. I'm looking for consistency around 20 points will do it for me. I look at my running backs. I'm looking for 2 guys that I can hopefully get 15 points between the 2 of them. I got a guy that averages 20 and a guy that averages 10. I'm getting 15-point average between the 2 of them. And then I'm looking at my wide receivers, 15 for each of them. Tight end, I'm wanting 7 to 8 average. And I want a consistent. That is hard with tight ends. Consistency with tight ends is a nightmare. They are very inconsistent. Even the great ones are, they're gonna be great. Kelsey, Gronk, now Kittle, they're all gonna be great, right? Ertz, he's good too. So, but outside of that, I mean, it's gonna be slim pickings. So that's a position I don't really care for. Why it's one of my last ones I do. I kind of stream that position. I'll stream quarterbacks a lot, and I'll stream because you can get 20 points from somebody depending on the matchup if it's a quarterback shootout game. And let's see, we'll look at those like defenses. I'm looking at, you never even know what defenses. Kickers, yeah, who needs them? But all those other positions, I'm looking for consistency, because in my mind, the way that I see it, if I can throw up, let's say your average team is going to throw up, how many people on your team? Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, flex, defense, kicker, tight end. You got 9 people, and if you're throwing up 15 to 20 points between the 9 people, you're looking at maybe 110 point average. And if I'm sitting here thinking, and that's in a tough league, so maybe you're even getting a little bit more than that. But if I'm looking at getting like the average person, if I said, okay, every player on a person's team, quarterback getting 15 points, everybody else getting guys that have 10 points apiece, and you have that. If you got a team of people that are going to be able to score on average more above the average of everybody else, 120 points a week, you're going to win most every one of your games. Now you are going to lose some games to people that have guys that blow up and get 40 points. You can't, unless you got a guy on your team getting you 40 points, it's going to happen. It's not that big a deal. You're looking for long-term consistency over the course of the entire season. That's what you're looking for. If you hit that, you're good, man. You're going to hit that. You're going to get those W's in. It's going to get you into a great tier in the championship game, right? So a lot of times you get that first round bye, and I just passed the cops, so I'm just double check my speed here, guys. Obviously going the speed limit. Don't worry about it. Not always the case, but when I'm filming, I try to make sure I do all the law appropriately. But anyways, that's a side note. Anywho, guys, what you're looking for is you're looking for those consistent average games, above average games all throughout the season. You don't need to go after a guy that's going to get somebody 40 points. You take the guarantee guy, like back in the day, you take the Adrian Peterson. Obviously, that's a terrible example because he was always like the number 1 pick. But a good example of a guy is, you had Devontae Freeman that would fall down in draft boards, or Melvin Gordon would fall down in draft boards. But the guys were consistent. These are the guys you're looking for. Before Antonio Brown became the number 1 guy, I used to pick up Antonio Brown. Nobody wanted him for some reason. Because he wasn't throwing maybe the touchdowns up or something. I would get Antonio Brown for consecutive seasons in like the 2nd or 3rd round, because people aren't really into the guy unless he's blowing up. Now, then when Antonio went on his streak of freaking ridiculous amount of like 6 receptions, 55 yards, everybody became to notice that Antonio Brown is a machine. So what you're looking for is these guys that are undervalued because they don't blow up and give you those blow up games, but at the same time they give you above average performances all year long, or at least average performances all year long, and you look in there consistently giving you the same points every single week. So you can slot them in, you can count on them. They're basically plug and play. You don't have to worry about them. You don't have to worry about anything with those guys. And then occasionally, you'll have your guys. You might have, and that's what usually happens to me. I'll have these guys on my team, and one guy is going to blow up for me each week. Out of those consistent dudes, I'll have a blow-up game for somebody where he's usually a 10 to 15 point guy, and he throws up 25 points. Now, if I'm hitting average for all my other dudes, 120 points, I'm now at 135 points. I'm winning that week most often, unless some guy has some freaking ridiculous game where his guy gets 40 points, and not everybody has that. They'll have maybe have 2 guys that blow up for 30, 40 points, but the rest of his team tanks because he doesn't have that consistency. And that's what you're really looking for. You want that consistent performance year over year over year, and game over game over game. And with that consistency is where you guys are going to really pick up and win your games. And it's the law of averages, right? So if your law is above average and everybody else's is average or less than average, you're going to destroy these guys every single week, and that'll get you to the championship game. If it gets you to the top 1 to 2 seed, typically you'll get a first round bye. You have to win that next game, and yeah, will you get lucky? Or will you be above average, and that's why you made it there? Yeah, can you get burned? You can, because, can somebody have a guy on their team like Christian McCaffrey and beat you in the championship game like they do to me? Yeah, because if Christian McCaffrey is going to blow up for 45 points, it's going to be very hard to replace that on my team with a guy, I'd have to have like 2 guys to compete with a 45-point banger from CMC. It just, those things are going to happen, and hopefully they happen during the season to you a bit, and they don't happen too much at the playoffs or the championship game to you. So that's kind of where you try to make it to the championship game, and then you play who you're playing against, and you go high risk if you can do it. If you can get some other players, make some trade moves, and we'll talk about all that during the season. I'll show you all the trades I'm pushing out, and how I do those, and what I'm looking for in a team that I'm going to target to get a guy. And then after that, it's the championship, baby. So let's go through. I'll do some mock drafts again today. I'll send them out. I'll put them on Instagram, Facebook. Like, share, subscribe if you guys dig it. You guys like the info I'm throwing out there. I really appreciate it. And just tackle that fucking like button and tackle that subscribe button. We'll get this thing going, and we'll get our way to a fantasy football championship, and just conquering you guys' leagues, just to the point where nobody wants to even play with you because you're so good, and they're gonna think, how is he so good at, or she so good at fantasy football? It's because there's a few tips, tricks, strategies that nobody deploys that are just consistently game changers for you, and I'm going to walk you through all those guys. So I appreciate it. I'm going to end this video. It's a little longer than I thought, but I had a little longer car ride home, but as you can see, I am stopped now because I am in my driveway. So go inside, take care of the kiddos. I appreciate it. Once again, guys, if you could like, subscribe, share, I appreciate it, and take it easy. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.